From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We're joined, as always, with our super producer, Dylan the Tennessee Pal Fagan. Most importantly, you are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. It's time for some news and spoiler. Friends and neighbors, this news is going to be strange. If you are tuning in to our program the evening it publishes, let us welcome you to July 28th, 2025. Guys, I don't know about you. I feel like it's important for us to say the date because we're creating time capsules. Maybe we'll look back in a few years and think, wow, that was really prescient. Or maybe we'll look back in a few years and think, oh, Epstein got away with it.
I think we're going to think that.
I think so.
No matter what.
We're thinking it now. Yeah.
A lot of people got away with a lot of things.
But like, got away. Like, how did he get away with it? I guess nobody had to learn the truth, really, the extent of what was going on, I would say.
Yeah. And I guess if we're waxing philosophical here, mortality means that everybody gets away at some point. Oh boy, weird energy, right? One thing we want to mention at the top is our friends at Microsoft have spent $1.7 billion on poop burial.
Well, I'm to explain. I don't understand.
Yeah, so they've got a partnership with a company called Vaulted Deep, which is a carbon removal company. And their idea is they're going to remove 4.9 million metric tons of carbon emissions over the next 12 years. So decade and 2 years.
Is this a story I saw about? It is Microsoft, yeah? You said,
Yeah.
Microsoft investing a bunch of money to help places that don't have any kind of sewer access or like traditional septic access. So it's like a new version of that? Or is that the same story?
Yeah.
Okay.
You nailed it. Vaulted Deep collects manure, sewage, and agricultural byproducts. How's that for euphemism? These things would normally block up waterways or they would rot in landfills. So this company makes them into like an in and out kind of milkshake viscous substance, and then they bury it about 5,000 feet underground.
That's amazing. 5,000 feet?
It's pretty specific. Yeah. So shout out to Microsoft. Shout out to burying your poop. We've got a lot more stuff to get to. We're going to talk about some crime. We're going to explore some just desserts abroad. We're going to have a parable about MRIs. We might talk about monks a little bit, but before we do any of that, we've got a lot of sports fans in the audience, guys. We've got a lot of friends and neighbors, fellow conspiracy realists who are perhaps fans of sports memorabilia. So what say we pause for a word from our sponsors and then deliver the mail?
I think we must.
And we've returned. I can't stop thinking about burying a whole bunch of crap 5,000 feet below the surface. And it feels like some kind of long game to create geothermal power. If you can put mass quantities of, heated, disgusting poo-poos down that far, and then somehow it interacts with the mantle, and then I don't know.
Yo, I've really been enjoying the new Donkey Kong game wherein you smash your way through the Earth's crust or the planet's crust in order to dig up veins of gold. I'm just imagining now poor Donkey Kong encountering a vein of poo-poo.
Oh.
Yeah, we also Lord of the Rings. We delved too deep.
Too deep.
He's like, Microsoft! Microsoft.
Microsoft. Yes, the original Balrog. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, guys, speaking of mass quantities of shit, let's talk about something that just came to light. Weirdly enough, if you are a sports fan, perhaps a sports memorabilia fan, you may have already known about this for a long time. But for the rest of us, no offense, guys, or you tell me if I'm wrong here, but I would say the four of us are not the biggest sports memorabilia collectors, at least. It's not a pastime of mine. I have a few things that my dad has passed down, some Chipper Jones stuff, some Atlanta Braves signed stuff, but I don't have anything that's, vastly expensive or like a real collector's item. But do you guys have anything like that?
I have a couple of things. Yeah.
Just records. Just like some fun records. Nothing
but
crazy.
They were, to your point, they were gifted to me. I did not actively seek these things or these artifacts out.
Exactly. It's not an active hobby for any of us. But for people who are active in that hobby, they're always on the lookout for bogus items, stuff that looks legit, but probably isn't. What are we talking about? We're talking about basketball jerseys, baseballs, literally anything that is sports related, especially like a specific item with like a number associated with a particular player.
A jersey, perhaps some sort of like, game worn item, maybe rings, stuff like that. Those are really big.
A signed artifact of some sort, right?
Yes, and this basic concept of having a human being sign with their hand and a pen a piece of memorabilia, and then you getting that thing puts you one step away, less than one step away, one pen away from that human being that you perhaps, I was going to say idolize a bit, or at least you have a great reverence for. You admire that person a lot, right? You appreciate their whatever it is that they have and do. You appreciate it a lot. This is cool.
It's a reliquary. Right?
Yes,
it's similar to religious adoration of saints.
Yes,
if we're being honest, because sport, whatever, keep it in, because sports become a matter of ideology and religion and articles of faith. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember the 1992 Braves lineup, and I thought of those guys like they were heroes or monster, like not real. They're too big to be actual human beings in my mind, right? I get that thing. Well, when you feel that way, when you're interested in getting stuff like that, you really want to make sure that you're getting the real deal, because if you're not, you could be paying $300, $500, several $1,000s to get one of these things that theoretically is the real signature. The real human did it. You get it now. You can put it on your wall. You can put it on a mantle. And you feel good about it. You could talk with your friends about it. That's the real thing. That is a Jordan pair of tennis shoes. I don't know.
That's Chipper Jones. That's the mitt that Chipper Jones was using in the 1990s at the Braves Stadium.
Freddie Freeman's Dirty Jim sock.
My dad and I were just talking about it. So I have an actual Chipper Jones home run ball. Like, it's the real thing. He actually signed it. We've got it. It's in my parents' house. It's cool.
Well, Matt, I do imagine there are professional authenticators of these type of items and appraisers, but maybe those two things aren't the same, or there's a crossover. I'm curious.
Oh, there are. There are big companies that their entire job, their entire business is authenticating this kind of thing and making sure for you as a person buying it, you're getting the real thing. And they create things like every other company does, a specific logo, specific colors on that logo, specific packaging, all that kind of stuff to make sure you're aware you're getting the real thing. They also, interestingly enough, especially for like cards and for other specific things, if you're getting it framed, there will be a hologram, a very specific, difficult to recreate hologram that goes on these products. And that is one of those things, kind of like the weird stuff that's on the new dollar bills here in the U.S.
Or the new passports, by the way.
I would say very difficult to exactly replicate. There are a lot of people out there who have tried to recreate things like this, or to at least make a facsimile that could trick your eye or something, right?
Not associated with stuff they don't want you to know.
Definitely. But there are a lot of people that have attempted to do this, right? Well, the the news that broke pretty recently for all of us who are not in the collectibles industry is that a huge player in that industry, not one of the major corporations, but a pretty dang big website that made a lot of moves out there called Mr. Man Cave, came under fire and under FBI investigation. And the individual at the helm of this thing called Mr. Man Cave took to Facebook when the FBI was raiding his warehouses and the facilities where he was running his business. And he essentially created a manifesto, you guys. Or it's being called a manifesto. It's really just a big FU to everybody, like to everybody. Mostly people who buy sports memorabilia and the sports memorabilia industry altogether. But he came out and he made some statements about how much money he's made through Mr. Man Cave over the years, how many items he sold, and that every single one of these, I think around 4 million items that he's sold, has been a fake, a forgery, a fraud. And we are talking forgeries of those holograms that are difficult to recreate. We are talking like 80,000 copies of like an athlete that just passed away,
holograms,
like Kobe
like
Bryant,
on a baseball card or on some sort of like lanyard. What kind of hologram?
On all kinds of different products. It's a specific hologram for some of these other larger companies that are supposed to verify the authenticity of things. And he's mass manufacturing them and putting out millions of items into the ecosystem of other people who are then, buying and selling and trading all of these things, and the values of them are all going up. But then he puts this poison pill out on Facebook that says, hey, guess what? Most of that stuff you're dealing with right now, all that stuff you think is so valuable, I made it and it's fake.
Wow.
Well,
he's not saving it for the swim back, I think. He's speaking maybe in past tense.
Yes. So the way it was written, it was definitely one of those things that is a confession of sorts. And it's happening as the FBI is actively looking through all his stuff and they're figuring out all of these things. And then they found a body at one of the places of business with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And it was, in fact, Brett Lemieux, the man who wrote that post, the man who was running this whole thing that was, a huge part of this industry. So really weird, tragic, kind of scary. I don't even know how to describe this strange news story, because it's a thing that, again, a lot of people already knew that this was happening. A lot of people even knew specifically that Lemieux had this stuff going on, because you can find news stories all the way back from 2013 where other companies that Lemieux was running in this same industry were being accused of things like not sending out orders that come in for, hundreds of dollars, not giving out gift certificates, or not redeeming gift certificates that were bought through the websites, putting out fake merchandise, all that kind of stuff. There are all these allegations that go back on him for a long time. And yet still, Mr. Man Cave was able to proliferate all kinds of stuff. Well, it's just weird, guys, because it makes me think about the value of things. How we put value on stuff. We've talked about that many times on the show in different ways. And this is one of those things that just makes you realize it's our belief, all of it. We say that over and over again. Value is a belief.
Articles of faith. Yeah. Quick question here. And I think a lot of us listening tonight are going to have the same question. Matt, do we have any information on the sophistication or the level of forgery here? Because it sounds like, okay, this is a grifter, these are counterfeit goods, but they must have been, they must have had verisimilitude, right? They must have looked very legit if this grift was able to continue for as long as it did. It kind of reminds me of the North Korean counterfeit $100 bills.
These are high-end items bought by discerning collectors.
Right. Yeah. That's a great, that's a question. What was the level of the con?
The level of the con was was very sophisticated, flawless. Let's see. Here's a statement from Lemieux. This comes from Sports Collectors Digest, written by Greg Bates on July 16th. You can look it up. The title is Breaking News. Sports Memorabilia Dealer Found Dead After Admitting to $350 million Fraud and Forgery Scheme. If you go down in the article, you'll see it's a snippet from the Facebook post that Lemieux made, and it states, quote, "It was a thrill having every athlete in every sport from every authentication company at your fingertips to produce the signature flawless, authenticate it with a flawless bootleg hologram, and then sell it for half of what the company does by the thousands. That's all I spent my time and life on. What was the next item to do? The next name, next flawless signature." I'm going to keep going. This is intense.
Yeah.
"I was addicted. It was a rush. I wanted out, but the money was too good. I can make $100,000 in a week if I wanted to. The fact that not one dealer that knew what we were doing to the industry, or when I took their exclusive, no one ever picked up a phone to confront me. That baffled me. I told multiple dealers, I will ruin you and your exclusive. They knew better." And he's, again, like I said at the beginning, he's kind of a big FU to everybody. But in a weird way, what he's saying here, if we take it at face value, he's saying that everybody kind of knew there's a bunch of fakes out there, and not all of this stuff is real.
Then it's like, who cares?
Well, because if they're good enough and there's enough of it being sold, what happens when you make a sale? Potentially, if you make enough sale, the price of that product or that good or that service goes up because now more people want it. Oh, well, we can charge more. So the industry knew that with this guy, this individual in this company flooding the market with stuff, with expensive stuff, everybody else's prices get to go higher and higher and higher.
Wait, but if the market's being flooded, doesn't that make prices go down?
Well, theoretically, but it's available. Does that make sense? Like, so,
I think so.
With collectibles, it's an inventory. The supply the inventory is pretty low, right? The number of actual signed jerseys that you can get. But if now there's more of them and you can still charge the same price for them, and you're only talking about, maybe thousands of people on the planet or tens of thousands of people that can afford it. If all of them get what they want, right, then it goes up.
Finite supply, infinite demand, theoretically, such that if we have, we have a cottage industry of middlemen, right, or middle folk, and if everybody is getting a little bit of a vigorish, then no one really wants the game to end.
Yes,
right. So, continuing on this analogy, looks like our guy had a 7th inning stretch and just decided to
that's baseball,
take the grift with him when he left. So do we know for sure, like, Matt, how much detail do we have about the manner of death or the context leading up to Brett Lemieux's exposing of this conspiracy? Because it's very much a conspiracy at this point.
Well, all I know is from the reporting here, USA Today wrote a piece. A lot of places have written pieces about this. I'm pulling mostly from USA Today, Sports Collectors Digest, and CBS. But, all I've seen officially is that early on a body was discovered during the FBI investigation, actually going through warehouses and buildings and stuff. And they found a body that had a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That was the reporting that came out. Then it was reported that it was, in fact, Brett Lemieux. And that's all I've really got. Do you have anything new?
No, this is strange news to me. I don't know about you, Noel, but I do think we have some digging to do, because one thing that always gets us when we're talking about this level of counterfeiting and forgery, obviously there's a lot of self-interest involved, so it must have been an open secret to at least some people. But I always have to think about the people who are being impersonated, right? Like, to your point, the Chipper Jones who says, I didn't sign that, or God knows, Chipper must have signed a lot of stuff in his time. Or to Noel's point, how many things has Michael Jordan signed? Have any of the athletes being impersonated spoken up about this? I think that'd be interesting to learn.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I saw a quote in here from a guy named Steve Grad. That was in the USA Today article, I believe. Yes, that was written July 18th. Man found dead amid investigation for selling counterfeit sports memorabilia. If you look down at the bottom of that one, you'll see that this guy is actually saying something counter to what I was talking about. And maybe I was just completely wrong, or maybe it's just a collection of different things of how this stuff affects an industry. But Steve Grad says that people have known about this guy. They've known his work. They know what he's been up to. He's been at it for years and years. He's driven down the price of things. So they're saying Steve is saying he's driven down the price of things. Look at a Tom Brady autograph, and Tom Brady's value is affected drastically by this individual. Perhaps to that point you were saying, Noel, like flooding the market is actually bringing the prices down, but it's way more available. So then now
which benefits the sellers.
Theoretically, I don't know. I'm a little more confused. I might just need to wrap my head around this a little more.
Same. Y'all remember when O.J. Simpson got in trouble for robbing his own memorabilia? That was kind of what ultimately brought him down after all of the murder trial stuff. I think that's what he
Vegas,
actually,
right?
Yeah. He busted into a hotel room and held up, a bunch of memorabilia, folks who were in possession of a lot of his personal memorabilia. I just think it's the idea of memorabilia as currency is fascinating to me. I think I mentioned this too on a previous conversation about stuff like this, but not to blow anybody's spot up. But I know a guy who knows a guy who has made a pretty good buck with a racket selling counterfeit Donald Trump signature items, which is apparently there's a market for that.
Wow.
There's a market for everything. All you have to do is create that market. Everybody, please check out our episode. I can't remember when this came out, but check out our episode on serial killer memorabilia. That is, I think, a thoroughly American pursuit. There's this deification of notoriety or celebrity.
Well, it's also fascinating that how Nazi memorabilia is straight up illegal, in Germany. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, there's a market for that too.
Yeah, you're right. It makes us think of a larger context here, because what we're seeing is, ethics aside, a successful conspiracy, right? We're seeing
a successful con man.
Successful. Well, every con is a conspiracy.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Hey, it's in there.
So yeah, we're right. It's in the name. So we're seeing someone who for a time didn't just succeed in lying to people and grifting them, but also succeeded in accumulating support within that, as you said, Matt, ecosystem, which means logically, and you guys stop me if I'm going too far here, this logically implies that there must be other similar grifts occurring in the world of sports memorabilia.
No question.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it's widespread. I'm nervous about everything, especially when you look at buying things online now and in different stores and the stuff that's available in Amazon officially, and everybody's cool with it. But wait, what is that actually? It's creeping me out. But hey, I know we got to take a break here. Hear word from our sponsors, but we will be right back with even more strange news.
Ooh. And we have returned. It's no secret, folks. Dylan and Noel and Matt and yours truly are often on the road. We have eternal adventures on the horizon, which means that we take trains and cars and planes. And I think we all saw the news recently, troubling bit of aviation conspiracy. Noel, Matt, Dylan, did you guys hear about Delta's new pricing plan?
I saw a headline that included two real problematic letters. But I didn't really dig much deeper, so I'm curious to hear. I know this is something that's being done with pricing, like by Ticketmaster, for example, and ways of doing these kind of dynamic pricing. And we also already know that airline pricing is such a black box. So I'm curious as to how this makes it worse and blacker of a box.
Yeah, dynamic pricing. You nailed it, dude. Delta Airlines is first to the post in a public announcement regarding AI pricing. So the idea is that currently this airline, a famous airline based here in the metropolis of Atlanta, Georgia, wants 20% of all the flights they sell to be priced using artificial intelligence, the two problematic letters that Noel just mentioned. They had previously did a soft rollout with this. The concept is that if you are, say, a frequent flyer, like a lot of us in the audience tonight, you will get a different price than you would if you were, say, a one-time or non-frequent flyer. So, for instance, if Dylan Tennessee Pal Fagan is taking a round trip ticket to Bhutan, Nepal, whatever, that will be a different price than it would be if Dylan was saying, I'm going to take a one-way ticket to Dylan. What's a country you want to go to?
Let's say Thailand.
There you go.
Okay, so
hey, that comes up in a minute.
Yeah, right. Nice foreshadowing. So this means that if you are booking a flight to Thailand via Delta, a lot of information about your previous interactions with this airline will come into play when they give you that black box price. So if Dylan is going on a round trip to Thailand and then back to the States, that price is going to be goosed a little bit, since we've been using the word goosed, which I quite love.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The goose suit is on.
And let's talk a little bit about this before we move on. I just think you absolutely nailed it with the idea of things being a black box. Now, full disclosure, folks, Matt, Noel, and Dylan and I have often had to dive into research for booking a flight. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I remember, Noel, specifically when you and I would be looking at different airlines and we both knew that we had to be somewhere by like Thursday.
Yeah, well, I mean, when the company's paying for stuff, we do try to be thoughtful about that. And of course, when we're paying for it, we try to be thoughtful. We just tend to try to be thoughtful. And you typically do get goosed when you're buying too close to the takeoff time.
Yeah. So the concept here is that Delta will have a pricing algorithm that they describe as a super-analyst, and it will continually calculate what price point it takes for a passenger to book a seat, or essentially, like put bluntly and undiplomatically, they're going to figure out the maximum amount of money you will pay for a trip. The company itself is portraying this as a matter of efficiency, a matter of convenience. Yet, to say the quiet part aloud for all our fellow travelers, the concern is that this will be a kind of discrimination, a new kind of discrimination that isn't really addressed in the current laws of the United States.
Yeah. So how is it targeting folks in a discriminatory fashion?
Right. It really depends on the vocabulary of information or data that exist, right, in this system. So if we, for instance, know that Matt Frederick is a guy who always travels to Myanmar in September, then will that price for that known trip. Will it be higher? Will it be lower because they want to keep them? I, I don't know. It's difficult because this is a precedent. The discrimination is going to be financial, socioeconomic discrimination, not necessarily race, creed, ideology, anything like that. These are very dangerous times.
I agree. I guess my counterpoint is that isn't it already to a degree? Like, even being able to fly Delta is financially discriminatory because it is inherently more expensive than like budget airlines. And they do already have access to your data if you're a frequent flyer and booking directly through Delta and likely through other means, because it's ultimately at the end of the day going to end up with Delta in terms of, ticketing you. So aren't they already doing stuff like this? And do we really have any transparency into the ticket prices as it is? Are there any laws that require that? Is this not inevitable?
Right. Those are great questions. And I like the way you're framing them because we have to be honest. Travel, aviation especially, is a commodity. It is not a human right, similar to water or shelter or food. The
arguably, depending on who you ask, right? I'm sorry.
Whatever. We're on the same page.
Yeah,
everybody deserves certain things. We know that there are opportunities for shenanigans here, and the big concern is that aviation companies in general, airlines, will leverage this stuff not to be more efficient, not necessarily to help their passengers, but instead to squeeze as much financial blood from the stone as possible. If we go to folks like Sam Hollander, who's a co-founder at Autopilot, we'll see this put in pretty simple terms. Sam says, quote, if Delta's AI knows you consistently book premium cabins and expense through corporate accounts, why would it not test higher price points? This algorithm will identify customers with lower price sensitivity and adjust accordingly. Right?
Okay.
So
wait a minute. So
like
basically saying like if you can afford it, they're going to get it out of you.
Yes.
That's what lower price sensitivity means. Like, I don't really care. I'm willing to throw down the extra. It doesn't mean all that much to me.
Right. I am Jack's corporate expense account.
There you go.
Kind of thing. Yeah. This is something that we'd love to hear more about, folks. We know this is not just going to be limited to one U.S. airline. This will probably roll out throughout the globe. And we want to hear your take on this. We hope you travel safely. We hope that you are very careful with where you decide to go and how you decide to get there, which means it's time for a segue. All right, we've got to give you a breaking news story. Everybody who has lived in the United States at some point has thought, should I live somewhere else? Especially in these, our current divisive times, a lot of our fellow U.S. residents have said, maybe there's a better place for me. And this is the best way to introduce Derek Huffman, a 46-year-old man who moved to Russia with his wife and his 4 children in search of what he saw as traditional values to escape wokeism. To do this, and Russia does have some programs we discussed previously. They want people to immigrate there. To do this, Derek had to sign up for the Russian military so that he could gain citizenship for himself, his spouse, and his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go on, do you want to sign up for this program?
I'm listening.
You'll have my interest. Now you have my attention, or whatever, however that quote goes.
That's good enough. Yeah. We get it.
Yeah. So this guy, Derek Huffman, he felt that the Western world, the US in particular, was indoctrinating the public with what he calls LGBT propaganda. So he thought the world in which he lived was getting too woke. He said that he had been just isolated and discriminated against because his ideology was being suppressed. And so he wrote to, he learned about the Russian citizenship offers, and he moved to Moscow from Texas. He joined the military, and he got a guarantee in writing that he would not be assigned to a combat position. Spoiler alert, he was immediately put into a shake and bake program of combat training. He was deployed to the front line.
Okay, Ben, this is ringing a bell now. We talked about this program a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah. The expat sort of, what's the word? Not clemency, but I don't know, a path to that, given some of the issues at play here in this country. Though Russia maybe is not the place that I would necessarily want to hang my hat if I were trying to escape this particular oppressive regime. You know what I mean? It's sort of like out of the frying pan into the fire, kind of, if you ask me. Literally, in this guy's situation, very much into the fire.
Yeah. He got rushed into combat training immediately and only got 2 weeks of training. His wife, Deanna Huffman, said that her husband feels like he is being thrown to the wolves and he is having to, quote, lean on faith. This is terrible. I was talking with some of our colleagues while I was on the road about this story in particular, and the main thing we have to remember is that those 4 children, those 4 American-born children, did not have the ability to consent. They're stuck in a suburb of Russia right now with no clear exit plan.
Not great.
Not ideal. It's what we would call a non-ideal situation. Derek Huffman is, I think, now an icon. It's an example for the class about Russia's visa program. The visa program, you'll love this, it's called Shared Values. And the idea is it will allow foreigners, non-Russians, who are dissatisfied with their government for any reason to seek Russian residency so long as they agree with the Kremlin's moral and spiritual principles.
We hate the gays too.
Something like that. I mean,
sorry.
honestly, it's culture war stuff.
It is. Yeah, it is. I can't say I have too much empathy for the guy in this particular situation. And we know we try to exercise empathy even with folks that we don't agree with, but kind of had it coming a little bit. I'm sorry. You know who I do have empathy for, Ben, as I know you do as well, as you mentioned, is the kids, because they have no agency in any of this.
Right. Yeah, it's some real FAFO stuff.
What is that? Is that like FUBAR?
It's F around and find out.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, I got you. Yeah,
you got it, because we know that, look, we know that most people are not happy with their governments. Just statistically, that is true. But I love your frying pan into the fire analogy.
Into the line of fire. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but geez, Louise.
From the frying pan to the front lines, right? This guy is not a unique case. We are going to see a lot of international movement or attempts of individuals and families to relocate across the globe. And please, 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 folks, let this be a parable. Let this be a moral. Make sure you know what you are getting into. Check, research as much as you can. And if you are planning to live in a land that is new to you, I'm just going to say it. Visit first. treat it as though you would do the same thing you would do if you were moving to a different town
Due diligence.
in the same country.
Yes.
Yeah. Visit
Little
for
recon.
a weekend. You know what I mean? You love Chicago? Well, go spend a weekend in Chicago during winter.
Try some Malort. Make sure.
Oh my God.
Don't. Really don't.
Do you think anybody really likes Malort?
People say they do. Yeah. My friend Theo says he does. He bought me a bottle of it as sort of a housewarming gift, and I don't drink that kind of stuff anymore at all. But even when I did, I would have had to be many sheets to the wind before I would take a nip off of that bottle.
How on earth?
Anyone curious that doesn't know, what we probably talked about, Malort is a very Chicago-centric liqueur, or I don't know if you'd even call it that tastes the way vomit smells.
Yeah, it's like, have you ever witnessed a war crime and wish it had a taste? Malort. Malort is just straight
Jepson
up
Malort.
Not great.
Yeah.
Give us your hot takes. I think it's just nostalgia or team spirit for Chicago. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com. Please defend Malort to us. Dylan, Tennessee pal Fagan, shout out to you and your brother-in-law. Dylan says, my brother-in-law says he loves Malort.
Right. Like I said, Theo says it as well. I love Theo.
Yeah.
He also is a bit of edgelord is the wrong word. He unironically likes a lot of terrible stuff.
I'm friends with Theo.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And then you know what I'm talking about. He is also my short spirit animal. Spirit guide. Yeah, I look up to him in many ways, and I love the man, and I think nothing but the world of him. But yeah, I don't know if one can truly like Malort.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts, folks. Please describe the taste of Malort as you see it. Tell us if you are a fan. We don't mean to cast aspersion on anybody's.
No yucks of yums. We don't
no
yums.
yucks of you. Fine. I'm being so diplomatic. And yeah, thank you for talking me back from the edge. We don't have time to get to the Moldovan oligarch who just got detained in Greece. I don't know how much news that will make in the West, but he got away with something like $1 billion US. So we are going to pause for a word from our sponsors. We're going to go in and out of metallic chains, MRIs, and of course, monks.
And we have returned, sadly no longer joined by our compatriot Matthew Frederick, who is having a lovely cabin getaway weekend with his family, and apparently the internet shit the bed. So he had to drop off, but I hope he's playing some lovely Mario Kart arcade in the incredible game room that this place is furnished with. So all the love there to Matthew and his family. I'm going to start off with a mild spoiler really quickly for a movie that's kind of definitely within spoiler territory in terms of the statute of limitations. It is Final Destination Bloodlines, which I thought was quite a lot of fun, quite a romp, very funny, very gory, exciting. I do recommend folks check it out. This is a real life Final Destination kind of story. One of the set pieces in the film involves an MRI machine. I'm just going to leave it at that without spoiling any more about the mechanics of that, because as we all know, the fun of those movies is seeing the way the Rube Goldberg, murder machines kind of play out. This is also a sad story. I'm not trying to make light of it. This is an individual who has lost his life and left behind a wife who is very much grieving. But lest you wonder if this type of thing is possible, it apparently very much is. BBC reports man wearing heavy metallic necklace dies after being sucked into MRI machine. A 61-year-old man has died after he was sucked into a magnetic resonance imaging machine at a medical center while he was wearing a heavy metal necklace. The man entered a room at Nassau Open MRI in Westbury on New York's Long Island without permission as the MRI machine was running, Nassau County Police Department said. His wife, who spoke to the BBC, said that she had called him into the room after her scan, and his very heavy chain necklace. We're not talking about like a little thin metal chain. We're talking about the kind of heavy chain that you might use to secure a bicycle, to a bike rack.
It's like a bike chain. We're talking pounds of weight.
I think that's right. 20 pounds, in fact. 9 kilos if you are in the region where the BBC reports from. A chain with a lock that he used for weight training. Seemed like a tough fella. At that instant, she said, the machine switched him around and pulled him in. This is terrifying. And he hit the MRI. This comes from Adrienne Jones McAllister. The victim was not named. However, she told the local TV station, she didn't speak directly to the BBC. They are reporting from News 12 Long Island that it was her husband, Keith, who sadly passed away. She said the visit on the 16th of July was not her and her husband's first time at the facility. It was also not the first time that the employee had seen her husband's weight that he used for training. She claimed an employee and her husband previously, quote, had a conversation about it before. Oh, that's a big chain. It's a big chain right there.
And he used it for weight training.
That's what we see.
It wasn't decorative.
No,
it did have a function.
It's interesting. That's true, Ben. I do wonder, maybe it's someone who likes to wear their swollenness on their sleeve or on their neck. It's a little bit of a flex, but maybe it's an ongoing kind of weight training, to have that around your neck to beef up those neck muscles. So makes sense. Not something that I'm familiar with, but it's a sad thing that happened. The BBC contacted NASA Open MRI for comment. I guess the question a lot of people are asking is, will there be a lawsuit? It does seem that the gentleman went in there into a restricted area wearing this. And I would imagine that there are waivers that are signed, or that there's some understanding that, if you trespass more or less into an unauthorized area, then, it's kind of on you. What do you think, Ben? Do you think there's grounds for a lawsuit? We're going to talk a little bit more about, does this thing happen often, in a second.
Right. There is precedent for this. Look, we have accounts from other people who are MRI techs. I'm thinking of @Nicole, the MRI tech, literally her name on social media. She shows how silver and gold jewelry, kind of similar to the lightweight gold necklace that you wear, that's not going to cause a fatal injury toward an MRI machine. But I think the question all of us will have in the audience tonight is, why didn't the tech just turn off the MRI instantly?
That is a big question. And I imagine that there was some, what's the word, hustle involved, right? I mean, I can't imagine that there wouldn't be. But who knows? There's a lot of reasons that might be the case. I would also imagine or wonder why, if not, that there wasn't some sort of fail-safe mechanism, given. But I guess I don't fully understand how that would be implemented. Maybe it does require a manual shutoff, because according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, this is from the BBC, MRI machines have magnetic fields that will attract magnetic objects of all sizes. And when you are going in for one of these things, the techs and the personnel of the hospital have to be very fastidious, making sure that you don't have any keys, mobile phones, oxygen tanks, for example, things like that could cause damage to the equipment or severe injury to the patient or medical personnel, because this essentially could weaponize these type of objects, turning them into projectiles. In 2001, a 6-year-old boy did pass away from a fractured skull at a New York City medical center while undergoing an MRI after its magnetic force propelled an oxygen tank across the room. So we're talking Magneto level powers, weaponizing all metal things in the area. So something to follow. Interesting to see. Interested to see if there will be any follow-up litigation here and how that'll play out.
Yeah, and it goes to, folks, it goes to the idea of ferromagnetism. So in our earlier example, Noel, with your chain, the metals that are commonly used to make jewelry, like silver, platinum, gold, those are not ferromagnetic.
We're talking iron particles, right? Largely.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Steel scissors, oxygen tanks.
Alloys, things that have a mix of these types of metals.
Even tools, also bike chains. We would love to hear from you folks, friends and neighbors, about why the machine was not instantly turned off. Is there no kill switch? Is there no, as Noel mentioned, built-in safety mechanism? But it's a tragedy all the way around.
For sure. The U.S., there's another piece from ABC out of Australia. I believe this is that ABC. No, this is a different ABC. It's an Australian news agency, not the American broadcast company. They have a piece about this case where they talk about the risks of an MRI scan, the risks personally to an individual in terms of the impact of the technology on a body are really, really low. It's not the same as ionizing radiation that is used in X-rays. It's why this is a preferred mechanism for scanning folks, or even CT imaging. However, it does replace that with a very, very strong magnetic field, a field that can, of course, extend well beyond the machine itself, that can exert forces on objects made of iron. To your point, Ben, some steels and other magnetizable objects. So it's important that patients notify their doctors if they have any implants, for example, that could be problematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Similar to pacemakers and microwaves.
Correct. And this news agency, abc.net.au, does report a stat from the FDA, again, who we mentioned earlier, that about 300 adverse events reports for MRI scanners and coils each year from manufacturers, distributors, and patients are submitted to the FDA. And then, of course, we mentioned that tragic case of the 6-year-old who had his skull fractured by a very similar type of incident where a magnetic force propelled this oxygen tank.
Noel, have you ever had an MRI?
I have not. I think the claustrophobic nature of it would really stress me out. Mm-hmm. Have you been?
Yes, actually. I kind of dug it.
Doesn't it make a nice humming drone kind of sound as well?
Claustrophobia aside, I know that's not everybody's jam. It was kind of like a sensory deprivation tank for me.
Okay.
It was one of the few times where I didn't have to constantly check on emails. So that alone made it kind of a cool experience.
Yes, sir. I can totally see that. And you're reminding me, Ben, that I need to have one of those experiences myself, because I have been meaning to do a float tank situation, and we have places here in the Atlanta area that do that. So thanks for the reminder. I'm going to put that back on my list of new experiences to experience. If you are looking for a new experience to experience in the culinary fast food realm, and you haven't found yourself on the West Coast or Texas, you might be in for a treat if you were ever intrigued by the idea of In-N-Out Burger from watching like The Big Lebowski or any other kind of California lore. The good news here is that In-N-Out, the company that is till now been exclusively located, they're chain restaurants that make really delicious burgers. Their fries are quite divisive, as we talked about with Dylan off air. They're only located in the Pacific regions of the U.S. and I think some in Texas as well. No, definitely some in Texas, but mainly it's a California company.
That's correct. It's due to their supply chain philosophy.
Which is a good thing, frankly. I mean, it does make for a fresher burger. They don't ship frozen beef. That is a big part of it. So they insist that their supply warehouses and facilities be within driving distance of their restaurants. But that's not going to change. But what will change is the potential for new In-N-Out franchises on the East Coast, because the billionaire, owner, and president and heir to the originators of the California-based burger chain In-N-Out Burger has announced their company is. Well, it's a little bit confusing because initially on a podcast that she was on, she made it sound like they were pulling up rutabagas from California, which is where they got their start, of course, and moving to Tennessee, moving their corporate headquarters. That was the original reporting. However, that is not the case. They are not picking up and completely relocating all of their restaurants and headquarters and franchising offices, et cetera, to the East Coast. They are just expanding. And I think that's good news for a lot of burger fans out there, because it really is, as John Goodman would say, a tasty burger.
Yeah. Actually, we are on record being fans of In-N-Out burgers. If the fries are controversial, we can all agree with respect to Dylan that the burgers slap.
Mm-hmm.
We also have
animal style.
Yeah, animal style is nice. The secret menu thing might be a fun pop culture episode for us to do on stuff they don't want you to know in the future. We also need to hear your favorite local fast food sleeper hits. This is very much, again...
can we talk about the ones you were mentioning, Ben, off air?
Yeah.
There's some other Tennessee ones that you guys were talking about.
So examples would be Pal's. Pal's is a legendary fast food place in the part of the world where Dylan and I have roots. Their fries are amazing. They made some, Dylan, how would we say it?
What style of fry are we talking?
Cartoonishly specific aesthetic choices.
Mm-hmm. We're talking a crinkle cut fry. We're talking a curly. I got to know.
Yeah. For this, Matt's back. Hey, Matt.
Oh, boy.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. Cabin Wi-Fi is a tricky one, but we made it happen.
Yeah, we did. So we're talking about the aesthetics of regional fast food sleeper hits, referencing Pal's, of course, out in East Tennessee. The aesthetic of the place is cartoonishly specific. I'm being diplomatic. We're talking about a big fiberglass anthology of sculptures in every Pal's location you run to.
Awesome. I'm looking up some images now.
Yeah, they're great. And Noel, to your question regarding the fries, we're looking at more a thin shoestring, heavily seasoned fry. It's a good potato.
I love a seasoned fry, and they refer to them in the Pal's parlance. Let's talk about sudden service in a minute too, by the way, as Frenchy fries. They're Frenchy fries. What is this sudden service mythos or philosophy? It sounds aggressive.
Right. You mentioned that previously off air too. Pal's sudden service is this idea. You know what? It's marketing. I'll say it. It's marketing. It means that it's always a drive-through place, like a Checkers maybe. So it means that you don't have to wait in the drive-through line that long. You don't have to pull over.
Just suddenly you're serviced.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Just like, I want a burger. Wishes granted.
Yeah. Did you see they also have a thought of the day?
I was about to mention that.
Submit?
Today it's fly a kite.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
They have something called a sauce burger.
It's great. Ooh. It slaps.
It's just an all beef patty with Pal's famous sauce, ketchup based, mildly spicy.
Did you know? Oh, okay. I don't want to get political here, but I was watching an interview with the former president, Barack Obama, and he said, with a full straight face, he sounded very serious. He said that he doesn't believe anybody over the age of 8 should eat ketchup.
Yeah, that's the Chicago thing too. I mean, like the ketchup on a dog in Chicago is verboten. Mustard only.
Yeah, I was talking with good friend of the show, Chef Ben, about this. And you guys know, Ben, I hope it's okay if I say this. Our chef has some experience in the Chicago area.
Chicagoland area?
Yeah, we had a pretty illuminating conversation about the hot dog hierarchy. We also, to your earlier question, we mentioned Buddy's Barbecue out there in Tennessee. I just feel like America is great for this. There are so many weird, regional, amazing chains and franchises.
I do think it's funny too how, like, on the East Coast, it's called, what is it? Hardee's on the West Coast. It's Carl's Jr.
Right. Yeah, that's a confusing one. That's a conspiracy as well. Matt, we were
So wait, why are we talking about all of this stuff, guys? What's happening?
dude. So much happened while you were hunting the Wi-Fi.
Sorry.
We know you were playing Mario Kart.
No, dude, but my cousin came up here and got like 13 million on this Simpsons pinball machine.
Whoa.
And I was like, I know you're doing really good, but I think the Wi-Fi just came on. And he's like, okay. And he turned it off reluctantly. But it was like crazy
Banging
score.
and banging. Well, the good news is we're about to wrap, so you can get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, we have pitched each other an episode idea, a pop culture conspiracy episode on. Oh, dang it! No, we nailed it just a few minutes ago. What was our pop culture? Oh, secret menus. Secret menus. Yeah.
Whoa.
And we are talking just in general, Matt, to answer your question about how In-N-Out Burger is expanding to the Northeast with a new huge corporate office in Tennessee. I don't think I got into exactly where. It is going to be near Nashville. And also the CEO is moving there with her family. And that was a big part of, or a source of some of the hubbub online with folks accusing her of abandoning her roots. She's born and raised in Northern California. And obviously In-N-Out has been a California staple for generations. So she did come back in and clarify after some of these out of context things taken from this podcast interview that she did, that they are not relocating. They are not pulling up their roots in California. They're simply expanding, which makes a whole lot of sense. She did make some comments about how she wants her associates to be able to own homes. And In-N-Out does, have a reputation for treating their associates very well, with fair pay and benefits and things like that. And so she did make some somewhat negative comments about the California economy, about how difficult it is to own a home there. So she wants to give, folks who are working for the company the opportunity to move up that American dream ladder, which I can respect.
That's awesome. We heard good things. I remember about what's the chicken chain that the Workaholics guys quadruple-handedly got from California out here? Raising Cane's.
Cane's, yeah.
We've heard good things about other companies that have moved their way east, who tend to have those kinds of practices where you're actually going to give your employees a livable wage. Pretty dope.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Quick Trip is another example, going back to our gas station truck stop episodes and discourse. I am so excited, you guys, to hear about these regional sleeper hit restaurants and fast food places. Also, I want to take a moment for all our fellow Tennesseans and shout out my brother Dylan for mentioning Dr. Enough. It's the soda you will love that you've never heard about. Look it up. It's spelled ENUF on purpose.
Whoa. Like, it's the Duff beer of Enough Dr. Soda.
Yeah, step aside, cheer wine. You've had your time in the sun.
Well, guys, did you already talk about the MRI?
Yeah, Matt, we'll talk a little bit off air, but we did kind of get into this idea of the precedent being set and if there may or may not be a lawsuit coming down the pike, and also how this is a real life example of something that happened in a recent horror movie. And it is a sad story, but it is something that I think is definitely captures the imagination. It is possible. This is something that people should be aware of and be very careful. And I'm curious as to whether the hospital will be held liable.
That's the question we're at. And also, Matt, another thing we've got to talk about off air, this AI pricing for airlines, the dynamic pricing that Delta is rolling out. I didn't mention this earlier, but I see the shadow of data aggregation and perhaps Palantir.
And Delta's doing
Delta's doing it, bro. Yeah. And with that, folks, we are off to adventures. We want to know your opinion of dynamic pricing and how much of a problem or opportunity you see with these companies gathering so much information about you? Do you think Microsoft is right to spend billions of dollars burying poop?
Yes.
Would you right. Get it out of here. Would you move to Russia? What is your experience with MRIs? Tell us your favorite sports memorabilia. We're going to get to a scandal with monks in Thailand a little bit later in the coming weeks. For now, we can't wait to hear from you again. Cannot overemphasize this. Forget all of the other things happening in the world right now. Your main priority is to tell us your favorite regional sleeper hit fast food franchise. You can find us online. You can send us an email. You can give us a call.
Correct. You can do all of those things by finding us online at the handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist on Facebook with our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy, where you can get in on the conversation with your fellow conspiracy realists. We are also Conspiracy Stuff on X, FKA, Twitter, and on YouTube. We have video content galore for you to enjoy. On Instagram and TikTok, however, we're Conspiracy Stuff Show. And there's more, and Matt's back to tell you about it.
Oh, yes, we have a phone number. It is 1-833-STDWYTK. When you call in, know that you're inside a voicemail. It's exciting that you're in there. It's a little weird, but while you're in there, why not give yourself a cool nickname and let us know if we can use your name and message on the air? If you've got words to send us, maybe links, hyperlinks, maybe even attachments, why not instead send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
the entities that read each piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware, yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back. What are we talking about? Is it true that if you send us a note, you may get a note in return? There's one way to find out. Conspiracy at iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.